Hi, thanks for joining me. I'm Lisa Bradshaw. I am really excited about today's topic. I believe in entrepreneurship. I am an entrepreneur, and anyone who's watching who has ever had an idea they want to bring to fruition but don't know where to start, this is the show for you. I am excited to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
This is Stacy Luckensmeyer, Center
Mm-hmm.
for Entrepreneurship at Wenatchee Valley College.
Yes.
We're going to talk in big picture and also small details to get people on the right track toward entrepreneurship. So tell me about your role there at the college.
The Center for Entrepreneurship has existed there for 8-9 years, and I continue to work on looking at the gaps and programs that we need in the area to support entrepreneurs and trying to find ways to bring those things to fruition here. So we've had a few new programs that have launched this year that hopefully are really helpful, from the 1 Million Cups program that kicked off last March, to the Office Hour program that kicked off in November, to the Startup Boot Camp that we started in September. And those things will continue on, and hopefully we'll have more and more participants.
I follow 1 Million Cups on Facebook, and I see the different people who come in. Tell us the platforms, how that works.
This is a monthly event, and we have 2 different entrepreneurs that get to share every month what they're trying to accomplish in their business and what some of the challenges are that they're having. And then we have set time for them to engage with the audience there and have a kind of a Q&A discussion about ideas, experience, how our community can come around them and help them move their business forward.
So when you make the selection of who can join that talk once a month, what's your criteria? How do you decide?
We're looking for people who have been in business for 5 years or less. So if they're ramping up and haven't fully kicked off, that's okay too. There are a lot of questions that they might have to ask and a lot of ideas that can be helpful at that point. We also want someone who's not fully sales oriented, because it's not a pitch for new business and it's not a pitch for funding or investment. There's some vulnerability required to actually talk about what the challenges are that they're having. So we want someone who's comfortable with that and who really wants to also help build community.
I have owned a few different businesses in my time. One of them is a company called 3 George Media that I still own since 2010. And that business exists completely because I would have an idea about something and I would think, okay, well, I got to hire someone to do a website and a logo and help me with the branding. And I had ideas over the years, especially in my late 20s and early 30s. And then I would spend like $2,000–3,000 on all of these support things that eventually I just thought, I have to learn how to do this myself, because I never wanted to have an idea I didn't bring to fruition because I didn't have a logo or a website or some branding ideas and just starting that marketing plan. And so now I do that for other people, and it's really been kind of a fascinating journey to see that what started out for me just to start this other business became this support for people who have ideas. People have ideas and they just don't know where to start.
Right, right. And it can be very costly to take your idea and launch it into something. The more you can develop certain skills, just like you did along the way, the better that is. But there are always things that we as individuals are not going to be good at. We need to be able to identify where we should be bringing in an expert, where we should be spending that money, and what we can tackle ourselves, and then what resources are there available so we can actually learn those things.
And that's a really good point, because when you talk about the role, when you talk about that, you're really talking about the roles in business. So if I'm good at marketing but I'm not a CPA, then I need to know that that's the part that I hire out.
Right, and you
or
have
if
to
I'm
do
not
it
a
quickly.
salesperson, you have to
before there's a problem.
Before there's when the money starts coming in, that's a good problem to have, right?
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about too. What are some of the programs? What's another one of the programs you mentioned, and how people in our community could utilize it?
The Office Hour program is our most recent addition, and this again is a monthly event like 1 Million Cups. 1MC happens on the first Wednesday of every month, and right now the Office Hour program happens on the first Thursday of every month. And we have a different expert who is volunteering an hour of their time to work with 4 different people from our region who sign up for a 15-minute time slot, and they get the opportunity to pick the brain of that expert for no cost. So we had Susanne Altman, CPA. She was our first in December.
She's joining us later in the show.
Yep, yes, and she wants to give back. She wants to be supportive of people. And I had some excellent feedback from the participants. They were able to ask some really time-sensitive and important questions for them. She gave them excellent feedback, and now they know what to do. 15 minutes isn't an awful lot of time. So you need to come prepared. You need to know what questions to ask. And if we can plan some of those in advance for our different topical people, that would be even better. We have a marketing company that's sharing information in January. We have an attorney, a business attorney, who will be sharing some information in February. We have another like social media marketing versus general business marketing compared to other online marketing options. There's just so much to learn.
I think too, we talked a little bit about, before we started the show, about advertising and how to get the word out. And one thing that I always think is helpful for businesses to understand is advertising is important. I also believe in the third-party endorsement. And so getting people to share your story. I always start with, what is your story as a business? Because every business has a story. It doesn't matter if you are a franchise. It doesn't matter if you are a mom and pop that's been around for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever it is. I think that starting there makes things more interesting.
It does. It humanizes it.
Yeah, it's just not just products, it's not just services, it's all of these things combined.
Yeah, especially in a region the size of ours. You know, we know one another. Over time, you get to know other people in the business community. Your business brand is definitely tied to who you are and your relationships with other people. And when your clients can speak highly of you, that is going to say so much more than all the expertise you know you have. And the story of yourself in that expertise is an important component, but that third-party endorsement is really very weighty.
So let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Wendy Dalpez, and we're talking right now with you, Stacy Luckensmeyer. You work with the Wenatchee Valley College Center for Entrepreneurship, and Wendy owns a company called the Entrepreneurial Source.
Yes.
So entrepreneur
Yes,
source.
Entrepreneur. Don't ever figure out how to spell it. Spell check is amazing.
I know, and all of those words all together. We'll be back in just a moment.
Elements is a nationwide top 200 salon celebrating 20 years of service in the Wenatchee Valley. We are staffed with educated and experienced designers providing beauty and health services. Visit our Facebook page for our store hours and our menu of services.
Family roles change with time. You may find yourself being an unpaid caregiver to a loved one. Caregiving can be rewarding, but also stressful. Taking care of yourself is vital. Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington has low or no cost services for unpaid caregivers, such as in-home support, care supplies, and counseling. Connect in your local area by calling Aging and Adult Care at 800-572-4459 and mention you're interested in caregiver support.
Hi, I'm Lisa Bradshaw. Thanks for tuning in for the show today. In the beginning of the show, we talked with Stacy Luckensmeyer. She's still here with us for this segment, talking about Million Cups. Is that right? Million Cups?
1 million cups.
At 1 Million Cups, and Center for Entrepreneurship at Wenatchee Valley College. And now joining us is Wendy Dalpez. You are the Entrepreneur Source. You own that business.
Yes.
Tell us what that is.
I am an alternative career coach, so I help people that are looking to go through a career transition and are thinking about possibly becoming entrepreneurs and helping them figure out what direction they should go.
And how long have you been doing that?
I just hit my 5-year anniversary.
Oh. So you were kind of on that coaching wave before you started before a lot of people probably did then.
Yes, especially in this particular area. I work a lot with franchise companies, so it was very different. I'd never run into anybody like me before. There's maybe a couple hundred of us across the United States, and people ask, what do you do? I tell them, and they look at me like, what? I've never heard of that. And but it's great. We get an opportunity to help people kind of figure out their next steps.
And so we were talking about the Wenatchee Valley College and the resources they have available. And one of the things you brought up is office hour. And you've participated in office hour, or you're about to participate in office hour?
I'm about to participate. I believe I'm scheduled for the hour in April.
So what brought you to wanting to participate in that?
I get a lot of phone calls from people that really want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't exactly know what they want to do. They might have an idea or they might not. They know they want to be their own boss, and so my job really is to help them understand what they need a job or a business to do for them, and then help them look at different types of opportunities. And so the office hour actually gives me a great opportunity to help those people who are curious but really don't know where to begin, help them get a really good place to start by understanding what do you need this business to do for you first before you set out and start something.
And you do that, I'm guessing, throughout the country, not just in Wenatchee, with the tools that we have available to us today.
Right. I work with people across the United States, but I love to be able to work with people from home and be a part of our community here.
Would you agree, both ladies? I feel like, sometimes people think if you live in a small town, you're limited. And I truly believe that we can achieve anything we want right here in Wenatchee. I mean, I just really do. And you must see it every day in your field of work.
Absolutely. Even if you just think about the number of businesses that we have, almost 85% of the businesses in our area have less than 5 employees. So I think that take heart. You can make your own thing happen right here in the Valley. And a lot of people are doing that.
I was going to say, I think I've been a pretty good example of that. I own a franchise, I work from home, and have been one of the top in the United States. I think we have a great community here that's really supportive, and there are a lot of people like me that have businesses that can work across the United States, but I am lucky enough that I get to live here and do it from here.
When I was 32, my husband passed away, and our son was just 5 years old. And my goal was, I was asked in an interview, I was on television at the time, and they said, what is your #1 career goal? And I said, well, I have to be home by 3 o'clock every day. I have to be home when he gets home. And that forced me to be creative about how I earned a living, because I can't work 8 to 5 if I need to be home by 3, unless I'm working from home. I always tried to make it seamless to him that, I didn't interrupt his activities in the afternoon, and I was very fortunate to be able to do that. But with that being the priority, everyone has to, it's kind of like you're saying, what is entrepreneurship to you? What is it that you're trying to build for yourself? And for me, that was my #1 goal.
That lifestyle component is the most important thing for many people. Most people would say maybe it's money. It really isn't. It's lifestyle. And it's so funny you say that. When I met my coach, that was my #1 goal. I wanted to be home when my daughter got home from school. I'd never had that before, and it was great. Now it's not so great because she went away to college, and I'm not sure what to do with that after school time.
That is another show.
But that lifestyle component for a lot of people, they have to take that into consideration when they're going off to start a business to make sure that it's going to fit, because then they'll be more successful.
And wouldn't you say, Stacy, that just even any kind of life change, losing a spouse, going through divorce, children leaving the home, becoming an empty nester, sometimes that is the time when you're shifting gears and saying, okay, now what? What do I want to do, and the first company that I started was because I wanted to contribute to the household income when my son started preschool, and I needed to stay busy while he was at preschool because I didn't want him at preschool. I wanted him home with me, and so that was the first business that I owned, and it came from a life change.
Yep, very common. There are reasons why we need to make a change, reevaluate, generate additional income, and it typically does fall in line with these big life moments.
So what is your advice to people, either one of you in this community, who are kind of thinking and they've had an idea but haven't brought it to fruition? My philosophy is always don't wait. I have a nonprofit that's entirely built on that idea. But what is your advice, each of you, to start today?
I would say talk with people. Tell them what you're thinking. Find out who the best resources. We have great resources in this community. Everything from the Center for Entrepreneurship to Aguada to SBA, SBDC. We have great resources overall in this community. So there are great people that can help you get started, and bring them in. Get to know them and get started. And don't be afraid. You know, a lot of times people will start many different businesses. Sometimes they fail, but they learn a lot. They get in, they go to the next one. Don't be afraid to reach out, because it's great. We live in a great place with great resources to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. She said that so well. There will never be a better time. Whatever idea it is that somebody has in this moment, it's time to check it out. Both Wendy and I often use the phrase, you know, you can go into business for yourself, but you're never by yourself. And especially in this area with all the resources that we have. And the great thing is there's so much that you can learn and so many different people you can talk to that's not going to cost you a penny to really fully vet your idea and think it through and bounce it off of other folks and just get connected and start building that network of other entrepreneurial oriented folks who will support you through the long haul.
Some of the best conversations I've had about business have been in a group setting that wasn't planned. And sometimes it's hard to make that happen, so that the fact that you guys are providing that for people is really commendable, because a lot of people have ideas and they never bring them to fruition, and then they regret it, and like you said, it's never too late.
Yeah, and you know, 1 Million Cups, it is named such, and it came about because entrepreneurs solve problems and start businesses over 1 million cups of coffee.
Good idea.
Yep, those informal conversations sometimes can be the greatest.
When we come back, we're going to have Susanne Altman join the show. She's a CPA here in our community. She's participated in the program, and we'll hear more details from her. We'll be back in just a moment. Thank you.
Thanks.
Elements is a nationwide top 200 salon celebrating 20 years of service in the Wenatchee Valley. We are staffed with educated and experienced designers providing beauty and health services. Visit our Facebook page for our store hours and our menu of services.
Dear Mary Maids, please clean the kitchen, and the cabinets, and floors, and the chairs. And I wish you could clean the dog. Colin is now feeding himself. Thanks, Megan.
Hi, Megan. No worries. We got it all cleaned up. Let's hope Colin gets past the spaghetti flinging stage soon. Till then, we've got you covered. See you next time, Mary Maids.
Hi, it's been a busy show today. Thanks for joining me. I'm Lisa Bradshaw. We have had throughout the show Stacy Luckensmeyer, Center for Entrepreneurship at Wenatchee Valley College. Earlier we had Wendy Dalpez from Entrepreneur Source talking about Office Hour, a program through Wenatchee Valley College. And now we have Susanne Altman joining the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You're a CPA in our community and have been for about 15 years, and you have been a participant in the Office Hour program.
Yes.
So tell us your involvement in that.
Stacy said, Suzanne, I need a favor. And I said, okay, Stacy, what do you need? Never say okay to Stacy. And I was one of the second person to do the office hour, 15 minutes for each people, and it was really fun. I do it because it is fun.
So there's 4 people, just to reiterate, that participate in this, and they each get 15 minutes of your time to ask you questions. They come prepared, hopefully, and you give them answers. What are the examples of questions you receive?
A lot of the, what kind of business should I be, not business, but type of business should I be in? That seemed to be one that, do I go in as a LLC, and what happens if I become a limited liability company? Should I be a corporation? How soon and what steps do I need to do these type of things? Going into business is really difficult because you don't know unless you've been in business. And one of the biggest things is make sure you have an accounting program set up. A lot of people don't think about that. Well, I just keep track on my phone. Well, yeah, you can scan it, and that's all good and well, but what happens if you lose your phone? What happens if you go and the cloud has a little problem and you can lose your data? Keep hard copies, set up a good accounting program. And one thing I always ask, especially if they're going in with 2 different people that aren't married, what's your plan to get out?
What's your exit strategy, right?
Yeah, it's easy to get into a marriage, it's hard to get out. You have to pre-plan that.
And if you're a partner in business, that is a marriage of sorts.
Absolutely.
It's a business marriage. It's not the
Because sometimes you're seeing your business partner more than you're seeing your spouse.
Right. And if your spouse is your business partner, well, that's a whole other show, isn't it? So
I could speak to that one too.
So when you're looking for people to come for office hour, obviously someone who has the expertise that Susanne has really makes a difference.
Yes, it does. And just their nature and their ability to have just an honest conversation with people and to make them feel comfortable. That 15-minute time frame, it can be really stressful. That participant wants to get the most information out of that expert that they possibly can. Yet at the same time, there's vulnerabilities. We've talked about that already today. There's vulnerabilities in asking some of these questions.
Now we talked about Million Cups earlier, which is a different program where people, entrepreneurs are selected to go up and comings, 0 to 5 years, just getting started to being in business less than 5 years. They get to ask questions of the audience. So this is different though. How do you select the 4 people that get to participate in that hour?
It is a first come, first serve scenario at this point. So the startupncw.com, the website, has the sign up link under the mentoring tab, and the first 4 people to pull those slots win that time.
What types of businesses come for questions? Does it vary?
Yes, yeah, it does. There's some that if I told you the type of business, you'd know instantly who it was. Everything from electrician type of business to entrepreneurial support type of business. Was there something kind of unusual that you saw in December, early December?
No, I have seen a lot of different things. I've seen a seamstress wanting to think about going into business. It varies, and it doesn't matter what type of business. There's still steps to take that protects yourself, basically.
And when you sign up to do this, I mean, your motivation obviously is to help people in our community who want to start a business. What are you finding that people, once they leave it, do most of them go into business for themselves? Do they still need another nudge from some other direction of support?
So far, we have had, I'm thinking of maybe the 60 or so different people that we've worked directly with over these different programs we've talked about today through this year. There's only been one that has not actually launched, and
well, that's quite a record.
Yet, yeah. It's still possible, not sure. Yet it is, and it's a very surprising one. This was not at all what I was anticipating. In all reality, when someone is interested in going to business, they may have the drive and the desire, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be successful. Either there's some gap or issue with the idea, or their personality, their self-discipline, their life needs, can get in the way and cause some significant problems. So when you work with someone and help them vet thoroughly what they're wanting to do, you've saved them a whole lot of money and a lot of stress and time if they decide not to go forward. I call that a win. If they don't go into business, that's a win. But if they've vetted things well, they have their budgeting and their financial plan all together, their sales plan, their marketing plan. If it's all coming together, they stand a really great chance.
I had an idea years ago when my son was a baby, an idea for something that would hold a pacifier. He didn't use a pacifier largely because of the whole reason why I created this product was to try to keep it clean and sterile and that type of thing. And then life happened and things happened, and I didn't follow that through to fruition. But during that time, I did secure a design patent, not a utility patent. And years later, I started watching Shark Tank. And every time I watched that show, it drove me nuts because I was like, I have this idea. I didn't ever do anything with it. But it didn't really align with my life because now my son was, 15 or 16 years old. There were so many, I had been in that, the children's product industry. It's pretty competitive, a lot of change. And it wasn't going to be my passion, for sure. But I thought, I got to go try out for Shark Tank and just see. And they had an open call in Seattle. So I got the branding together. That was when it became handy that I could build a website and create a logo and didn't pay any money for that. And went and pitched it and got through that first stage, got through the second stage, and then didn't get through the third. And the reason I was told is because I wasn't desperate enough. Because I hadn't mortgaged my house, or because I hadn't borrowed $100,000 from my parents. You know, there were all these things that I was just kind of wanting to see this through. So I do think that you can speak to this about, you know, you don't want to put yourself at great financial risk, you know, without any reward.
No. That's why you do the pre-planning. And you find out, is this a fit, something I can do? Is it something that's needed?
And that you'll want to do
and
long
you
term.
want to do. It's when I went into business myself, it's something I really wanted to do. And luckily, I think I might be good at it, but I had a husband who wasn't so sure until things happened, and then we took off. And what really helped was meeting people like Stacy, and just having people that I knew say, you can do this. What's the worst thing that'll happen if you start your business and it doesn't work? I'll go to work for the PUD.
Well, thank you both for being here on the show and being such a great resource for our community. If you're interested and have questions about entrepreneurship, visit the website startupncw.com.
Stay up to date with what's happening in North Central Washington. Go to the NCWLIFE community calendar at ncwlife.com.